Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, episode number 102. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, thank you for being here and sharing your time with me. Time truly is our most valuable asset. And the fact that you're willing to share your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So I want to welcome you to today's episode where we're going to talk a little bit about when the goal you set or the vision you have or the dream you are holding no longer seems possible. And I think part of this right now, experiencing a little bit with the folks that I talk to across the country, is a lot just because of the time of year that we're at, that we're winding down the current calendar year, especially from a sales calendar perspective. And we may feel like we're running out of time and that goal and that vision no longer seems possible. And what I know to be true is that every big goal that we have, we hit a wall. It's that point where the finish line just seems impossible, where maybe you're running on fumes and you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, like you just don't have it in you to push any harder or any further. And the thought of quitting creeps in. And I think that's really, really natural. And these are the moments, though, that I want you to consider that will define you. When you hit that wall, you do have a choice. We have choices in life and in business, and you have a choice as to what you want to do when you hit that wall. And I think it's really important that you take a step back in moments like this and get out of that emotion or get out of that charge that we have about hitting the wall and really assess what we can do if we choose to move forward, or give yourself permission to explore what it would look like to move forward and make the decision as to what you're going to do once you've run through the choices. I think there's nothing worse in life and in business than feeling like we don't have a choice. Like we just have to do this, or we live in a space of either I do the goal or I fall really short. There's a lot of things that come into play. So I'm going to talk about 7 points today to consider when maybe you've hit the wall and you're contemplating quitting, or you're contemplating adjusting the goal down, and what you can do to process and work through that. You know, I too have had those moments, and it feels so real. I can remember one of the last big goals that I set, I'm pretty much near completion of. And when I hit the wall in the project, a lot of it was because it was something I hadn't done before, and it was a monumental goal. And when I hit the wall, one of the first thoughts that I had was, were you just freaking crazy when you set this goal? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are that you set that intense of a goal on top of everything else that you're doing? It seems a little crazy standing in this place looking back at the person who made that goal. Those were some of the thoughts that came through my head. And then I started the game of, is it really that important? If I don't do it or postpone it another year, who would know? It's just me. And would it make more sense to wait another year? Those were all of the things that went through my head. And I just really took a step back and did the following 7 things with myself that helped me work through and push through and break through the wall. You either got to go through it, over it, around it, or you surrender to it. Those really are your choices. So for me, I really wanted to get clear that I had what it took to push through it and that I was willing to do the work. So the first thing that I wanted to acknowledge was that hitting a wall is just part of the process. I really don't know of any time I set a significant goal that there wasn't a moment on the journey that I didn't hit the wall. You know, that phase where progress slows down. I think, it's funny when you set a goal and you start off, things are moving at a quick pace and it feels so good and so energized. And then things start to slow down. Some obstacles come up and they're starting to pile up that you maybe weren't anticipating when you started the journey. And this is where motivation can wane a bit. And it's really important that you acknowledge that, because motivation comes from within. And acknowledge for me what I have to do when this happens is number one, acknowledge that the wall is not a sign that I'm failing. It's just proof and evidence that I'm in the middle of meaningful work and it's important to me that I got to that point. So just know that when you hit the wall, it is not a sign of failure. It truly, truly is just proof that you're in the journey of something really important to you because you hit the wall and it's okay. That was number one. And just acknowledging that, hey, this is normal. This is part of it. Why I thought it wasn't going to happen on this project, I don't know, because it's happened every other time with a major project that I had going on. And just allow myself to take away the shock of hitting the wall and prepare myself to push through. Not one who usually gives up on a goal. Number two thing is, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, we need to anchor back to our why. This is when you really have to pull all the stops out and think, okay, why am I doing this? And I've talked about this before. The 4 areas that I address my big why or my purpose to is myself, my family and my friends, my team, and my legacy. Those things are going to be what's going to pull me through times of doubt, pull me through those times where it is incredibly challenging. It will remind me of why the discomfort is important and why I'm willing to work through that discomfort. I had a lot of late nights on this project. I had a lot of early mornings on this project. I had a lot of conversations with my coach on this project that were intense and were really direct. And until I anchored back to why, they felt really, really impactful. They felt intense. Yep. The second I anchored it back to why I was doing it, all of a sudden it was like, okay, now I know why. I got this and I'm willing to work through the pain or work through the obstacles that are showing up. The why is really critical in this phase when you hit the wall because you will be convinced that it's not that important for you. I know this to be true. At least this is for me. If I'm just letting me down, sometimes I'll let myself off the hook. But if I'm letting my family and friends down, if I'm letting my team down, or I'm putting my legacy at risk, it is a kick in the ass to get back up and to get going. So anchor to the why is the second thing that I do when I hit the wall. Number 3, talked about this, it is really important, is reflect on or break it down to the micro wins. The little wins equal the big wins. The little wins help release the feel-good hormone that gets you re-energized, helps you with that motivation to connect to the importance or the success points that you've had. It's not focused so much on hit the wall and the stopping from getting to the goal. It's really important is to look at those little wins. And a lot of times I just have to break it down to a win for the day. Sometimes it's a win for the hour. I back away when I hit the wall and I'm looking at that end goal, which seems big at times, even though you might be 3/4 of the way there before you hit the wall. It still can seem like Mount Kilimanjaro, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be really, really hard. And what I do is I break it down to the little wins I've already experienced to build my confidence back up. And then I just check in with myself and say, hey, what's a micro win I could create right now? And it might be just, I'm making the decision to push through the pain. I'm making a decision to push through the wall. That's a win. I will oftentimes say, what can I do to win the next hour? What would be a win that I could achieve in the next hour? That little breakthrough is chipping away at the wall and helping you get to the breakthrough. So break it down to micro wins that you've already achieved and break it down to micro wins that you can achieve in the very near future. You might be a 30-day win person. You might be a 7-day win person. You might be the day of, or you might be an hour. Whatever it works for you is what you need to do. Break it down. Number 4 is create a success environment. One of the coaches I'm working with right now, who I adore, has introduced the concept of walking when I want to be in a different space to create success. And she subscribes to, if you're kind of stuck, or frustrated, sometimes just leaving and going outside and going for a walk is when you can get back to being creative and back to focused on how I can get around through over the wall that's in front of me. I also will take that time to gather the people that are the most supportive to me and pull them in. I might host a happy hour at my house. I might invite them to dinner. I might invite them for coffee, whatever it is. I want to create a success environment. It is not the time to surround yourself with other people who are stuck or negative. It's just not. I know who I can call and who I should not call. But creating that success environment is really, really important. Sometimes it's as simple as just cleaning your workspace. I tend to be someone who piles things and then will go and deal with it at the end of the week. So sometimes for an environment for success, I just want a clean space, or I'll go out to the dining room table, or I'll go sit out on the portal and enjoy nature. Whatever I have to do to create or do a pattern interrupt for my environment that opens up the space for me to be successful, I'll do. So those are just some of the things I do. And as of late, I've added in a walk. And I'll tell you, a 30-minute walk, and I'm very blessed to live in a beautiful part of the country, Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I'm surrounded by nature that is just breathtaking. That walk for me in creating that success environment really is a pattern interrupt to get me out of the focus that I've hit this wall and I'm not successful, or I've hit this wall and I'm frustrated. It has changed things. So find out what works for you in adjusting your environment to align you for success. This is the time, though, not to go searching for people who will support your story of why you should quit, or who will support your story of it's not that big of a deal, just do it later. You do not, that is not a success environment. That is looking for somebody to collaborate in misery with, to support that part of your brain that's saying, hey, we're not successful, let's quit. So really be aware of where you're investing your time and who you're speaking to at moments like this. Number 5 thing that I make sure that I do is I really reframe the narrative. Because in times where you're hitting the wall, you're really doing your best to interpret what's going on and to have it make some sense. And a lot of the times my thoughts are, this is really hard. I don't think I was planning well enough for this when I set the goal. And therefore, I need to stop, or I really can't do this. Those are the narratives of the negative talk that are coming up when you hit the wall, because remember, we talked about this, your brain is trying to protect you from danger or fear or failure. And so if it feeds you with these thoughts of it's too hard, I can't do this is not what you were planning on, maybe maybe you just did the wrong strategies, all of those negative thoughts can come in. And you just need to reframe the narrative to, you know what? I've done hard things before and it has worked out. Or one of my favorite is I've lived to this age and I've survived. I have evidence that I will always make it through whatever situation I'm facing. If it's hitting a wall, hitting tremendous failure, whatever it is, I know that I've done hard things before. I also know that every challenge is training me for the next level. I know that if I break through this wall, if it comes up again in another project or even in this project, I'm going to have the skill set to get through it. And the next time it comes up, it's not as big of a deal because I've created evidence that I can get through it again. I just love telling myself, hey, you've done hard things before. Let's go. Let's figure it out. You always have. And it's always worked out in your favor. And I say that not from an arrogant space. It has always worked out in my favor. Even if that means a pivot, even if that means failure, it's worked out in my favor because I've learned and I've trained myself. So reframe your narrative as quickly as you can when you've hit the wall and you're making it mean all kinds of things. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. Who do I think I am? All of that negative talk is just a narrative that your brain is creating. Reframe it. Make it be what you want to be. I'm powerful. I'm capable of achieving this goal. I'm capable of doing hard things. Whatever it is, shift and reframe the narrative. Number 6, this is again one of my favorite things is, use strategic pauses versus quitting. And I say this that high performers don't just push harder, they pause smarter. I want you to hear that again. High performers don't just push harder, they pause smarter. So, pause versus quitting. There's a huge difference between pausing and quitting. Quitting is definite. You've quit, you've walked away, you're done. Pausing is taking a breath, taking a beat to figure out what could I do differently. It's that step away. It might be the walk. It is that moment to just let your brain rest for a second and figure out a strategic way forward. That is probably one of the easiest things for us to do is to have a strategic pause. And when you hit a wall, chances are you are so in it that you can't be on it. And what I mean by that is you're so in the process that you're working in it. And when you take a pause and give yourself a second to back out from being in it and to work on it, your perspective changes immediately. Immediately. You start looking at it differently because you get out of the do mode and you get into the, hey, I can keep doing that and it's not working. Or what could I change in my strategies that would be the breakthrough to moving forward? I build in strategic pauses into my calendar on the regular. It's in my schedule. I plan on having those moments. Even though I've got a team, even though I have a successful business and I've got people that I could lean into, I still have to do a lot in my role at Rethink Coaching. And the pause allows me to become that CEO, to stop being the worker bee and start thinking about strategies differently. So strategic pauses, if they're not built into your schedule as of yet, I'd highly encourage you to do it. It allows you incredible thinking time about what you could do differently, just little fine tunes or massive pluses to what you're doing to allow you to have the breakthrough and to get through that wall. And the last thing is just really spend some time with the payoff. When we're in a place of pain, we focus on that a lot. And our brain's way of dealing with that is we want to move away from pain towards pleasure. And it may view the pleasure point being, I'm going to postpone and do this next year. I'm going to quit altogether. That means I'm releasing myself from the pain completely. What I want to invite you to think about is what's the payoff? Maybe sit in a moment of not worrying about the how and just envision you've broke through the wall. You're on the other side of this moment that has got you paralyzed or stalled out. And what is the payoff when you get through? It's moving towards that goal. What's the goal going to do for you? What's the goal do for your family, your friends, your team, your legacy? Really sit with what the payoff will be when you break through that wall. Don't get hung up in the how when you're having this moment. I just want you to allow yourself to sit in the payoff, to sit in the future and speak to it as if it's already done. Hey, that barrier is gone. I've achieved the goal, or I've achieved my next check mark, my next measurement of success in this journey. And this is what it feels like. This is the payoff. That feels really good and can be enough to just energize you to get back on track. Spending time in the future, we've talked about this again, is really important because your brain can't really differentiate between is this make-believe or is this real? Because when you're casting that future payoff, you're creating emotion and the brain feels that emotion and views it as real and that it has happened. And that allows you to kick it back in. So once you remember the payoff, then you can go back and explore the how. How am I going to do it? You look at those strategies. You decide what strategies are working for you, what you need to change, what you need to enhance, and then you can move forward. But spending time in the space that you broke through the wall is really, really critical for that forward movement. So when it doesn't seem possible, it's really easy to believe that you're not cut out for the challenge. And those moments are the test. They really are. They're the ones that turn amateurs into professionals and your dreams into reality. It's really that simple. You don't have to feel unstoppable. You just have to keep moving. Take it one step at a time. Sometimes they're big steps and sometimes they're baby steps. But keep moving until the impossible becomes possible. That's all we have to do. Just stay focused on that future payoff and accept the fact that we're going to hit a wall. When it doesn't seem possible and you believe you're not cut out for it, that is when we need to take a step back and realize that you are unstoppable. You have what it takes and you just need to keep moving forward. So those are the 7 things that I do and I've done as of late when I hit the wall. I know the wall is inevitable. In fact, when I make my plans for my big strategy, I don't plan on hitting the wall. I just presuppose that it may happen and that I've got the skill set to work through it. It doesn't define me. It's not a sign of failure. It's just part of the journey. That's it. So as always, team, if you have a question about this or anything else, please feel free to reach out to me. It's really important as we're winding down the year and we're doing that last big push to get to goal, that if you're feeling this, you hit the wall and you're ready to stop, that you reach out for help. You can find me on all of the social media outlets. You can email me, tony@rethinkcoaching.com. You can go to our website, rethinkcoaching.com, and sign up for a free 1-hour strategy session where we can work on this or whatever it is that's holding you back from your ultimate success. But just know that it is absolutely 100% normal to hit the wall and that hitting a wall is not a sign of failure. It's just proof that you're in the middle of some very meaningful work. All right, team, make it a great week and we'll talk to you soon.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.